A 4-year-old girl took one sip of alcohol, and prosecutors say the punishment cost her her life. What happened inside that Baton Rouge home is so disturbing that people are still debating whether it was intentional murder or a punishment that turned deadly in seconds. And the most heartbreaking part? According to prosecutors, more than one adult was there. Stay with me because the autopsy result in this case made the entire story even more horrifying. In April 2022, a quiet neighborhood in Baton Rouge became the backdrop for a tragedy that is almost impossible to process. A 4-year-old little girl named Tyme Record was found unresponsive. At first, people were left with the same question they always ask in cases involving a child. What happened? But when the autopsy results came back, the answer shocked everyone. Tyme Record died from acute alcohol poisoning. Her blood alcohol content was reportedly over 8 times the legal limit for an adult. Let that sink in. A 4-year-old child. A blood alcohol level that even an adult might not survive. And according to prosecutors, this was not just some terrible accident. They allege that Tyme's grandmother, 57-year-old Roxanne Record, forced the little girl to drink whiskey as punishment after she had taken a sip. But that's not the only allegation that has people outraged. Prosecutors also say Tyme's mother was there and did not intervene. And if that allegation is true, then this case becomes even harder to understand. Because how does a room full of adults let a 4-year-old reach that point? According to the case presented in court, what started as discipline allegedly escalated into something fatal. A sip turned into punishment. Punishment turned into poisoning. And poisoning turned into death. This is the kind of case that shakes people because it forces a painful question. How quickly can anger destroy a life? A child's body is incredibly fragile. A 4-year-old cannot process alcohol the way an adult can. What might already be dangerous for a grown person can become lethal for a small child in an extremely short amount of time. And that is why this case has triggered such an emotional response. Because this wasn't a random act of violence on the street. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't someone unknown. These were the very people who were supposed to protect her. Now the grandmother is facing first-degree murder charges, and at the center of the trial is one major legal question. Did she have specific intent to kill Tyme? Or was this, as the defense may suggest, a so-called punishment or mistake that went horribly too far? But for many people following the case, that debate almost feels secondary. Because whether it was rage, cruelty, recklessness, or an act that spiraled beyond control, a 4-year-old little girl is gone. And she is gone because the adults around her allegedly failed her in the worst possible way. And this is where the case becomes even more devastating, because the courtroom isn't just deciding guilt, it's forcing everyone to confront what responsibility really means when a child is depending on you. Parental responsibility, family responsibility, adult responsibility. Those words mean something when a child is in danger. Children rely on grown-ups for safety, judgment, care, and protection. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot weigh danger the way adults can. They trust the people around them. And that trust is what makes this story so painful. Tyme Record should have been protected. She should have been comforted. She should have been guided, corrected, and cared for like any child deserves. Instead, prosecutors say anger took over. And in just a short period of time, a child's life was lost. Now, a Baton Rouge courtroom is left to decide whether this was murder in the fullest sense of the law. But outside that courtroom, the emotional truth is already clear. A little girl died under the watch of the adults who should have kept her safe. And no verdict can undo that. No legal argument can restore the childhood she lost. No courtroom debate can give her another birthday. No explanation can make this feel acceptable. Tyme Record was only 4 years old. She deserved patience. She deserved protection. She deserved love. Instead, her name is now part of a case that has horrified an entire community. And if there is anything to take from this story, it's this. Sometimes the greatest danger to a child is not outside the home, but inside it. Rest in peace to little Tyme Record. Her story is heartbreaking, and no child should ever suffer like this. If this case moved you, let me know your thoughts in the comments, but please keep it respectful. This is Story Time, real stories only. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, stay locked in.